And it is my pleasure to welcome everyone to the 53rd induction ceremony and the class of 2026 getting inducted into the County Sports Hall of Fame today. I would like, yes, how about a round of applause? And the order of induction, which is different than what you see in your programs, is Greg Doria, Nyack High School, class of 70, football, baseball star, and part of a royal family of Nyack and Rockland County sports. Pierre Fills, Spring Valley, 87, speedster, football, and track star. If anybody calls you Pierre Feet today, that's because my wife is French, and that's what I've been telling everybody for the last 5 or 10 years. We have Joe Castaldo, North Rockland, 87, baseball and hoops. We have Al, Coach Pesner, who graduated from Spring Valley in '66, where he played football, hoops, and track, but is also quite well known as longtime Nyack coach of girls lacrosse and field hockey. We have professional baseball player and professional Jim Rooney from North Rockland, 1979. Julian Gould, class of 1999, Nyack High School, football and lacrosse standout. Steve Hostomsky, North Rockland, 1979, generational runner. We have Bill, the governor, Madden, and Bill's over there saying, nobody calls me the governor. Never heard anybody call me the governor. Why does it say governor on my table? And all that's true. Nobody has ever called him the governor. Nobody probably will call him the governor after today. But I am saying it because it is a term, a British term, for a deep sign of respect for an individual that's a boss. Now, you're not bossy, so I wouldn't say that. But it's also a term for a person of authority. And Bill is one of the biggest long-standing authorities on Rockland County sports. And we have many people in this room that are also authorities of Rockland County sports. And I think that they would say his knowledge is unquestionable and the absolute definition of the Lifetime Achievement Award. And forgive me, so back to Al really quick. Coach Pez is receiving the inaugural William Gibby Sweet Coaches Award, and Bill is receiving the Joseph Holland Lifetime Achievement Award. So this is a fantastic class. Certainly so tough to say one's better than another, but very difficult to find the equal. Very excited, and thank you everyone for being here. So I do want to do a couple of quick thank yous. Thank you to everyone in this room. This room is packed. It's fantastic, such a testament to all these athletes. This is a long ceremony, and we want to get you out of here before 5. And it gets really hard to pay attention and listen, and it's kind of cruel because, you know, we sit you with friends and family maybe you haven't seen for 20 and 30 years, and then we ask you not to talk to them the entire time. So, but you will hear something that is unique and that you will be upset if you didn't hear, if you're not paying attention. So please do your best. You talk when I'm talking, don't worry about it. But when the inductees are up here and they're presenters, listen, because I guarantee you will hear something that you would like to hear. I want to thank the Paramount staff. We do the best we can to put this event together, but they help us tremendously. And without their help and patience, it would be very difficult. I think when Pete makes his address, you'll hear more about the board, but of course I want to thank the board who works tirelessly to put this all together. I want to thank the folks who put the journal together, Phyllis and Bruce Schweitzer. All of the award sponsors who I won't go down one by one, but are listed in your journal. JJ Donnelly, who's been doing photography forever. Thank you so much, JJ. We have Mike Valori doing the video with Joe Beckerly Productions. And we have our long-standing DJ, Mark Griffith Jr. and Dykstra Schweitzer Florist. from Pro River that provides all of the flowers that you see here today. So at this point, I would like to recognize the past inductees that are in the room. And we try hard not to miss any, but please, if we miss you, just stand up. But I will call the person's name. This is one of those things where we ask you all to hold your applause till the end. But inevitably, it doesn't always work. And this is not in really any kind of order. It's a bit all over the place. But I will read your name. Please stand up. Sholton Whitley, Doreen Abicella, Tom Doherty, Kevin Houston, Kurt Lundgren, Pete Scheibner, Kristen Sullivan, Tom Sanders, Bob Corvino, Dale Leidecker, Joe Clinton, Dan Keeley, Jim Ashcroft, Jay Bonnell, Jamie Gampton, Chuck Mays, Joe Casarella, Scott Finley, Homer Wanamaker Jr., and Eddie Wanamaker. Thank you all for being here, and just take a moment while we're talking about Wanamakers to thank Chief Wanamaker, who I think is retiring in like 5 days, for his service, for keeping this town safe and beyond. Thank you, thank you. I don't know how much he's going to enjoy his retirement if he keeps losing in doubles tennis to the good Dr. Gill, but thank you for keeping us safe. So at this time, I'd like to bring up our chairman, Pete Scheibner, to make his remarks.
Wow, what a turnout today. It's really wonderful. I wanted to, good afternoon to everyone on our 53rd season of honoring great athletes, coaches, contributors to Rockland County sports. Today's outstanding 2026 class brings the number of those enshrined since the hall was established in 1974 to 320 inductees. I was happy to say that today Greg Dioria joins his father Gerald and two uncles Pete and Pat into the Hall of Fame, as does Alan Pesner, who also is joining his dad Leon into the distinguished organization. And it's not going to be that long that we'll be seeing daughters and dads and moms and daughters getting into the Hall of Fame. That's just a matter of time. We have a few other folks that are father and son, with the Canes. The Canes are both father and son, and the Kapuzinskis are also part of a father-son duo. I invite you to visit our Hall of Fame website, which serves as a rich repository of information, including bios and photos of all inductees. We encourage online nominations of athletes, coaches, officials, and teams to go along with the current listing of well over 100 nominations in our existing pipeline. This year, we created a new category of awards to go along with the Joseph R. Holland Lifetime Achievement Award, named for the founder of our organization, now known as the William Gibby Sweet Coaches Award. Gibby was an outstanding New York State wrestling champion for Pearl River and All-County at RCC, who went on to become an excellent wrestling coach for Tappan Zee and several other schools. Gibby passed away in August of 2025. I had asked John Scaringe, who was captain of one of the Gibby's championship teams, to write a remembrance of Gibby, and it's a wonderful, poignant write-up that he did. If you look at your book at page 23, it's a wonderful piece on Gibby Sweet. Gibby was also chairman of the Pearl River Sports Hall of Fame, and he was also a board member with the Rockland County Sports Hall of Fame for well over 20 years. What I'd like you to do, if you can, is take a look at page 60. This is a memory page, and I wanted to bring this to your attention. Sadly, since our last induction in September, we lost Tom Munkall, a 1962 graduate of Albertus Magnus High School, 1997 inductee. An all-star basketball player who led Rockland County in scoring in his junior and senior seasons. A Holy Cross College graduate, he went on to become assistant coach for Spring Valley basketball and distinguished himself as a successful tennis coach from 1973 to 1996, winning dozens of team titles. What I'd like you to do is please join me in a moment of silence in remembrance of Tom Munkall. Thank you so much. One of the other items that we have on tap this year is a second induction ceremony that we're going to be doing on September 19th. You could imagine if we had teams and additional individuals going, I mean, we might be here tonight till 8 o'clock. So what we've done is we've broken this down into a second Hall of Fame dinner. And what we'll be doing is, this is at O'Grady's Castle at the Blue Hill Golf Course, at the Pearl River Golf Course. We have a pair of posthumous inductees, Frank Consiglio, multi-sport athlete for Suffolk in 1940, and Joe Campoli, multi-sport athlete and basketball coach for Tappan Zee, and he also went on to college in Ohio, and he was quite exceptional there. And in addition, we have Jerry Magurno from the Suffern baseball coach also being honored at that event. In addition, we have two teams which we will be honoring: the 1975 Nanuet boys track team, coached by Dave Hansen, with a 10-0 record, winning Rockland County Championship meet and Section 9 Class B championship. In addition, we're also honoring the 1992 North Rockland baseball team, coached by John Sotile, with a 25-1 record, the first baseball title by a Rockland County program since the tournament began in 1983. So that will be on September 19th at the Castle at Blue Hill Golf Course. I'd like to finally thank members of our board, Kurt Lundgren, who's secretary and legal mind, John Ryan, treasurer and ticket chairman, Bill Rupert. Bill, if you're there, you're doing a wonderful job as a screening chair. Vince Shortino as well, he's the vice chairman, Chuck Mays, Julia Adler, and Russell Grant. I want to thank you for everything that you've been doing. So thank you to the entire board for their outstanding work.
Many of you probably have known we have a raffle going on today, and that raffle benefits Venture Together, which many of us know as Camp Venture. And we will continue to sell the raffle tickets through the dinner, through the lunch, and we'll stop at the end. So if you haven't gotten raffle tickets and you'd like to, you'll still have another opportunity to get them. And during the second half, when we come back after dinner, we will pull the tickets. We're not going to stand up here and just pull tickets and have you all stand here or sit there. The tickets will be pulled, and the winning tickets will be displayed, and you just go over and check to see if you won. So thank you for all your support. It is very much appreciated. So here we go. We are ready to induct our first athlete, and I would like to call up Alan Beltini to do the introduction. Alan is one of those authorities on Rockland County sports, and it's a pleasure to serve with him. Al.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Russell told you, I'm Alan Veltiti. I'm on the board, and I'm here to talk to you about Greg Dioria. I know the big question in the room is, what's a Nanuet guy doing introducing a Nyack guy? And we'll get to that. Right now, I was told to be nice about Greg because if I wasn't, Tommy Oakley and Bob Corvino are sitting over there, and they threaten to hold me down while Dale Lydecker gets his revenge on me. And you think I'm kidding. Anyway, back to Greg. I've known Greg for about 50 years, maybe more. I don't know, I lost count. I had to play against him. I had to hit him real hard when we were sophomores, and he'll probably tell you about that later. Incredible athlete, baseball, football, nice guy. But I had the great chance to sit down with a couple of former coaches of his, the Lankow brothers. Now, this is why the Nanuet thing comes. Both Paul and Bobby Lankow, who coached at Nyack, grew up in Nanuet. And when I talked to the two of them, we talked about a lot of the players and who I played against. And I asked specifically, tell me about Greg Dioria. How was he to coach? And they said, you know what? We didn't have to. He was the smartest guy on the field. Not only did he know everybody's assignment on his team, he knew everybody's assignment on the team they were playing against. So it was wonderful to have a guy on the field who was so smart that you never had to yell at him. Well, Bobby yelled at him, but it's just unbelievable. And knowing him after high school and through, he has carried that incredible intelligence with him as well in professional life. And my wife said he's pretty good looking too. I don't see it. But it is a real pleasure to introduce to you our first inductee of the evening, Mr. Greg Dioria.
I don't know if it's, can you hear me? I don't know if it's really good going first, but I'm going to try my best. And they were all lies that Al told. I was the dumbest guy on the team, but I'm going to get in and talk a little bit about that. But we just start out. Old man glasses. So good day, everyone. Good day. First, I would like to congratulate all of tonight's inductees. It is truly an honor to stand among such an accomplished group of athletes and contributors to Rockland County sport history. Looking around the room, wow, nice sized room, I'm also reminded just how good everyone must have been, because none of us look like we could do it anymore, right? I would also like to extend my sincere thanks to Peter Scheibner, Al Valtiti, of course, Chuck Mays, Pat Doria, Russell Grant, and all of the board of directors and the entire Hall of Fame committee. This is an incredible recognition, and for keeping these memories alive, even if some of ours are starting to fade a little. I am deeply honored to be inducted in the Hall, and it's especially meaningful for me to join members of my own family, my uncles Peter and Pat, and my father Jerry, who are already part of this distinguished group. To be honest, growing up, I wasn't sure if I'd ever make the Hall of Fame or just keep getting compared to them forever. So this is a pretty good outcome. There are so many people who have shaped my life and helped guide my path. First and foremost were my parents, Alice and Jerry, whose values, support, and example lay down the foundation for everything I achieved. To my siblings, and I'm going to take the time to name them: Jerry, Bert, Steve, Jeff, Susan, Elizabeth, Pauline, Rita, and Ann. Growing up in such a competitive and athletic family pushed me every single day. And I say this honestly, I was not even the best athlete in my own house. Depending on the day, I might have been in the top 3. So I also want to recognize my family, my lovely wife Beth, and my kids Gregory Paul, Allison Mary, Thomas Gerald, and Giovanna Marie. I gave you that name. And all my grandchildren, you're going to hear them in a little while. So having you here tonight makes this moment even more special. And to my grandchildren, listen up now. This is what happens when you listen to your coaches and parents. At least some of the times. Okay, so I've been fortunate to have a great influences along the way. Many of you might know Coach John Beek, who was renowned for the NFL. He's been involved in many Super Bowls. He had a profound impact on me and was a major influence in my development as an athlete. Coach Paul Lankow also played a critical role helping lead our football team to multiple championships. Between the two of them, they knew exactly when to encourage you and when to let you know you weren't nearly as good as you thought you were. And believe it or not, this balance worked. So, and I will move on, and all my teammates, you were incredibly talented group, and it was a privilege to compete alongside of you. I truly was fortunate because I grew up in a family with athletes and competitors driven by success and achievement. Both sides of my family were loaded with talent. And then there were the cousins, Gary and Tom Welsh, Pat Doria, David Doria, Sullivans, Toscanos, you name it, we were related to everyone. And in Rockland County, if you went to a game, there was a good chance you were either playing with a relative or against one. Actually, I played against my uncle my sophomore year. So, but the primary reason I stand here tonight, I make no bones about this, is because of the remarkable teammates I had during my high school career. I played on truly outstanding teams, and alongside the players such as Dale, Tommy Sanders, George Eskew, Jerome Whitby, Swan Brothers, the many multiple Wanamakers, Homer and Steve primarily, and Jose St. Victor. My junior year, I had the privilege, and I was part of what I believe was one of the most talented football teams ever assembled in Rockland County, the 1968-69 Nyack football team, led by co-captains Bob Eubanks and Bobby Corvino in the back. This team was extraordinary. We had somewhere between 14 and 15 first team selections on both offense and defense. I think we gave up something like 8 points that year on defense. It was an incredible team, and it was a dream team. And a guy like me, it also meant you tried not to mess up. That's how good the team was. My senior year, however, presented a very different challenge. After graduating so much talent, we returned with only 4 starters. And alongside my co-captain and friend, Donald Cooper, we were tasked with leading a young, inexperienced team. We opened the season with a tough loss to Suffern at home, a setback that ultimately became a great motivator. Or as we might say, it got our attention. That young team grew, matured, and came together over the course of the season, overcoming challenges week after week to secure another county championship. So many of those teammates went on to be recognized by this very Hall of Fame. You just heard their names: Jose, Steve Wanamaker, Dale Lightaker, Tommy Sanders. But many other important members of the team included Tom Oakley, Mark Ruggiero, John Fenton, the Williams brothers, Schwartz brothers, and Steve Swan. Many more. But one moment that always stands out to me was Donald Cooper's heroics at the Clarkstown game. This actually, every team has that one moment in a season where things can go either way. We were in a tight game against Clarkstown. Tensions were high, and we needed something, anything, to shift the momentum. And Donald Cooper, the captain, who was our fullback, he stood in a huddle on the 7-yard line, our own 7-yard line, and said, "Give me the ball." And what we did, this is a great story. I was playing center, and Donald was a fullback. We went right up the middle, right of me, left of me, right down the field. 7 yards, 10 yards, 15 yards. Cooper was like the most amazing day. He was possessed. It was unbelievable. And we got all the way down to Clarkstown's 7-yard line. 7-yard line. And there's a timeout. And our quarterback at the time was Dale. So Dale was walking off the field, and he goes over to talk to the coach. And I remember being in the huddle and talking to the guys. We got blood and sweat, and guys are panting. You know, "Come on, guys, just one more. We need one more play. If we can do it, we're on our way to the championship." And so out comes Dale, and I'm thinking, I hope he has a really good play, because I think Clarkstown knows we're going up the middle. And he called the same play, 6:32, right off my right side. And when he said hut, he faked it to Cooper and took the ball. It sounded like a crash, car crashing. Well, everyone in Clarkstown was right in front of the middle of the line. And I'm thinking, oh, we're going to lose this. And I look up and I hear the crowd. I see the cheerleaders all jumping up and down. And here goes Dale running around the side with the ball, his hair in the back, going in the wind, his blue eyes. All the cheerleaders are screaming and yelling. And we're out in the middle of the field. We won the game. Thank you, Dale. So fortunately enough, we won the game, or that would have been hell. And of course, like great football stories, it got better. It has gotten better year after year. Right, Dale? But the play that was just about, it wasn't just about athletic ability with Donald Cooper. It was about heart and instinct and refusing to lose. And that was Donald Cooper, was a player. He was a heart, full of heart. And our team that day matured and became what we could do. It was really a wonderful moment that year. So when I look back, what I remember most is just not the wins. It's the spirit, the camaraderie, and the esprit de corps of the Nyack football teams. Our coaches, Beek, Lankow, Can, Longwell, and others, knew how to bring out the best in each one of us. And we played not as individuals, but as a team. So as I accept this honor tonight, I do so with the understanding that it is not mine alone. The courage to compete, to persevere, and to fight through adversity. It was my whole team that had done this. And with that, I want to acknowledge 3 people in my life who are currently facing significant medical challenges. My niece, Colleen Gregg, my daughter, Allison Mary, and my lovely wife, Beth. It's a little emotional for me. The courage you have shown is the greatest I ever witnessed. You inspire me beyond words. And in many ways, it reminds me of that moment at Clarkstown, that game, when everything was on the line. The team simply refused to give up and did their best. That kind of strength, that same determination, that same refusal to give in, that's what I see from you three every single day. I love you all. Keep fighting the fight. And I want to thank you all for listening. Thank you.
The next person I would like to call up is Steve Duganzik. He is a graduate of Pearl River, 1970, both baseball and basketball player, and another person who's a tremendous asset to this board, arranges for all the awards and sponsorships you see. And he has the pleasure of introducing our next inductee.
Okay, I also competed against Dioria and Valtiti back in 1970 as a graduate of Pearl River High School at the time. And it's great to get together with these guys and talk about our glory days. All right, again, congratulations to all the inductees. And it's my honor and privilege now to introduce Spring Valley's own Pierre Fills into our Rockland County Sports Hall of Fame. A few words. Okay, when I think about Pierre's journey, all right, I go back as a teacher for 34 years at Suffern High School. The politicians used to use a African proverb saying it takes a village to raise a child. Okay, Pierre had a lot of challenges growing up, and he was lucky to have people come to support him. One of his earlier supporters, a 1993 Hall of Fame inductee, Jay Bonell, all right, was his coach in Pop Warner football. And knowing the challenges that he faced, took Pierre into his home for a few years or whatever, and helped to support him and get him through school and help him to become the person that he is. Another great Rockland County Sports Hall of Fame inductee, Lou Cleary, his basketball coach, all right, was known to have said, "I wish I had 5 players on the court that would play with Pierre's intensity." All right, so he was a great basketball player also. All right, back in Pop Warner football, Jay would say that this kid played with an explosive tackling. All right, he would just blow up anybody trying to come around the corner on sweeps. Later in the spring, all right, we had Betsy Evans and Jimmy Ashcroft, 2 noted spring track coaches, and Pierre ran the 400 hurdles, making it to the state meet, and also on some of these classy Spring Valley relays that they had back then. All right, again, they also made it to the state meet, and I think they ran very well at some of the national meets. Okay, Pierre graduates from Spring Valley, gets a ride to New Haven, and he then becomes one of New Haven's first All-American wide receivers, all right? He was selected in 2012 to University of New Haven Sports Hall of Fame. But the thing about Pierre is, what goes around comes around. Comes back to Rockland County, all right? gives it his all. He's a very important and influential coach in Spring Valley with the 1996 track and field team. Had a number of people qualify for the state championship. Spring Valley has a great football team for those two years that he's there, and they made it to the section playoffs. He continues to give back to the community. For 20 years, he's working at Memorial Park, helping the youngsters with the pickup games and things that they did there. But he was also a very influential person for a number of Spring Valley athletes. He was a person that they could trust. He could help them sort out many of the college options and many of the other decisions they had to make as they were leaving high school. All right, Pierre is proud, and his wife Marty are proud parents of 3 outstanding athletes who went to various high schools in Bergen and Rockland County, and also supported or were very good in their athletic endeavors. All right, I'd like to introduce Pierre Fils, Spring Valley High School.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to the Committee of Rockland County Hall of Fame for an incredible honor. To my fellow inductees in the class of 2026, congratulations. It's a privilege to stand alongside such a distinguished group of athletes and individuals. Before I begin, I would like to ask for a brief moment of silence for those who could not be here today. These are the people who molded me into the man I am, and though they have passed away, their spirits are woven into every achievement and celebration today. My mother, Antoinette Fils, known as Mommy Sano. My father, Sano Fils, Mr. and Mrs. Bonell Sr., my godmother, Linda Bonell, Doris Carden, Miss Dorothy Smith, and Miss Millie Thompson, and Zennis Payne. Sorry about that. They say it takes a village, but in the world of sports, it takes coaching staff that believes in you before you believe in yourself. I want to thank the mentors who guided my path. It started with Pop Warner and my godfather, Mr. Bonell, to Percy Boykin and Coach Curtis Pinkston. Thank you for setting good foundation. To my Cacac junior high coaches, Jeffrey Grant, Mr. Portnoy, Mr. Shapiro, and Mr. Malden, the first coaches to ever hand me an MVP trophy. You fueled a fire that never went out. In track, I have to thank Ms. Betsy Evans for the genuine care of us as human beings, not just athletes. And Jimmy Ashcroft, you're a reason I am standing on the stage, from running against you in the blocks, learning from you. You're important. To Coach Luke Cleary and Mr. Hannigan, thank you for being first to hand me the capital C. You taught me that weight You taught me the weight of leadership and made sure I knew my values to the team. That confidence carried me to college. Coach Hannikin, Chris Palmer, and Coach Zavatic pushed me to be the best player to ever set foot on campus. Beyond the X's and O's, there are moments that challenge my perspective. I have to thank Mr. Payne, Godfrey, Glenn Zennis for taking me to see Pele at the Giant Stadium in 1977. That day opened my eyes to the greatest, the greatness of sports. Zennis, you challenged me back then. Doubt me, and doubted me. Doubted me if I could play football. Well, 2 years later, I went undefeated in the Pop Warner team and never looked back. To Doug, Cheryl, Suzanne, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being most unselfish, supporting siblings a brother could ask for. Oh, man. And finally, to the person who has been in my corner since 1983, my ride or die, my beautiful wife, Margie Phillips. Sorry, I lost my place. Oh my gosh, where did I find? Sorry, Margie Fields. I would like to be the man of the. Oh my gosh, I wouldn't be the man of or player I am today without you. And a quick shout out to my good friend Dean Small for passing that note in junior high school. Best assist of my life. To all my guests here today, please stand. All my guests today, please stand. Thank you. I want you to see the room full of love and support that brought me here. I'm a reflection of encouragement and your faith in me. This moment belongs to all of us. Thank you for the Rockland County Committee. Thank you again to the Rockland County Committee for a wonderful experience. Congratulations to the class of 26.
Congratulations, Pierre. Our next introducer is known to most, if not everyone in this room, Chuck Baines, North Rockland football and wrestling legend. I'm not surprised he's talking to somebody and not up here. But it is Chuck's honor to introduce our next inductee.
One of the things that's very amazing every year is the talented coaches and athletes that represent the Sports Hall of Fame. And I think, Pierre said it very well, that his teammates and coaches and mentors made a difference in his life. And, and then earlier we heard about the great team from Nyack that our Greg was a part of, and he was instrumental as a co-captain of his team. So, the people that we're honoring tonight are very good leaders and devoted to their sports and also to their teams. So you know, I think that the honoree that we're pleased to represent North Rockland next is going to illustrate what a good experience he had as having some of the best coaches to help him to develop to his full potential. And he's got great potential in terms of his college and high school career. It's amazing how he was a two-sport athlete and he excelled. And I would say that a large portion of his team is here tonight, and I was happy to meet many of them. And you know, the coaches can't say enough of good things that he has done in athletics in North Rockland. And beyond that, as a teacher, coming back to his hometown in high school and becoming a special education teacher and a coach. So he's definitely returned more than he's received. It's been a shining example of service above self. And along with this presentation, one of his coaches traveled a great distance to get here. Some of you know him, Joe Clinton, and he coached for 4 years. He coached this young man in becoming one of the best two-sport athletes in North Rockland high school history. So I'd like to ask Joe Clinton to please come up. Joe is, many of you know him as athletic director at Dominican University. He's also quite an athlete himself, and he was Joe's coach for 4 years. So,
first, I'd like to congratulate all the inductees today. What an awesome experience. Great players. And what I like to, Billy Madden, I grew up with Billy Madden in Pearl River and played Little League with him, and what a great person he is. His dad used to umpire the Little League games for us, gave his time, and you can see that, you know, Billy became a great guy and a great writer, and I just want to shout out to Billy. And then Jimmy Rooney, I'm going to be talking about Joe Castaldo, who's a two-sport athlete, and everybody's so Jim Rooney, okay, is a baseball guy, but Jim Rooney was pretty good in basketball. I don't know if anybody knows that. He played in North Rockland. He was really good. And what he did was our junior year, I think, and he's up at bat, and I come down with a little sidearm pitch, and that ball is still going. It's still going. It hasn't come down yet how far he hit that ball. If you know North Rockland High School, it went into the football field. I'll never forget that. That was one of the longest home runs I ever gave up. But anyway, you know, it's hard enough to play one sport. And to be able to excel in two sports is amazing. Dave DeBusschere, you know, even Michael Jordan, he didn't excel in baseball. But this guy named Joe Castaldo, he excelled to the max in both sports. I talked to Dan Keeley, and I talked to my baseball coaches. They coached him at RCC and at Dominican, and everything they said was this guy. He's a great athlete, a team guy, a great attitude. He had speed. My baseball coach said he would hit a ground ball to shortstop, and they'd take their time, and he'd beat the throw to first base, because all they thought there was this big stiff who was up at bat, and he's not going to beat it out. He would beat it out to first base. So about his athletic ability, he was a third baseman. He gets drafted by the Cardinals as a pitcher, just to tell you how good of an athlete he was. Now, I coached him in basketball, and he scored, 1,000 points at Rockland. He scored 1,000 points at Dominican. When he scored 1,000 points at Dominican, he had hit a three-pointer to beat Post that day. So you're talking, he had over 2,200 points in 4 years. If he came to Dominican all 4 years, he would have had over 2,000 points. He'd be the leading scorer at Dominican. That's all right. But I wouldn't have been able to coach at RCC. So his average, he averaged over 20 points a game, both spots, over 10 rebounds. He shot 50% from two, 45% from three. They said Bill Russell would grab a rebound, it'd take him 3 or 4 steps to get to the end of the line and dunk it. You know, poor Joe would have took him 4 or 5, but he's the type of guy that would grab a rebound and go down the length of the floor and lay it in or dunk it. And I mean, just the speed that he had, it was uncanny. What made him special was his self-discipline, his resiliency to bounce back after a loss, his supreme focus. He put all the negativity behind him, his confidence. He had unshakable confidence and faith in his ability, his coachability. He was a very, very coachable kid. Now, I know I'm old school and I'm getting old, but what drives me nuts is guys hit a 3, we're going this, okay? Guy make a tackle, they're jumping up, okay? Joe's an old school guy. Well, Joe, you couldn't cover him. If you put a big guy on him, he'd go by him. If you put a little guy on him, he'd post you up. He could just do a little bit of everything. And that's what made him so special. You know, looking back, I've been coaching, so I had a chance to look at, you know, all my former players, and he was one of the early birds. And I'm saying to myself, holy mackerel, this kid was good, really good. It was my honor and my privilege to coach somebody of his caliber. That's how good he was. He was a special, special athlete, and there's nothing he couldn't do. There's nothing he couldn't do. If a big guy covered him, would take him outside. If a little guy come and put him inside and post him up. He was a pleasure to coach, and I can't say how lucky I am, and I'd like to introduce Joe Castaldo to the Hall of Fame.
Coach gets me fired up. It almost makes me want to play right now. But my speech. I wrote this speech. I didn't know. I was going to go from the cuff. I said, I can't do that anymore. I'm too old for that. And my wife checked the speech over 100 times. Like, she's gonna say it. I'm like, you're not saying it, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So, to begin, good evening, everyone. Good evening. I first want to thank the Rockland County Sports Hall of Fame Committee for selecting me of this year's class, as well as congratulate all my fellow inductees. I am incredibly grateful for the Hall of Fame honors received at North Rockland High School, Rockland Community College, and Dominican. But this one hits differently. Rockland County is where it all began. The gyms, the fields, the long practices, the bus rides, and the dreams that felt so big when we were just kids. To be recognized for basketball and baseball in the county that shaped me is something I don't take lightly. Rockland County is home to all the opportunities I ever had to compete. More importantly, the reason for many lifelong friendships. It helped shape me who I became, not just as an athlete, but as a man. High school and college students today truly amaze me. So many head off to campuses hours from home, hop on planes to start new chapters, or even study abroad across the world. I admire that spirit of adventure, but I'll be honest, that was never my path. 13 miles, that's it. That's my story. I'm a hometown guy. Basketball at St. Peter's in Haverstraw, Haverstraw Little League, on to North Rockland, RCC, right over to Dominican, 13 miles. For me, it was not about seeing the world. It was about playing ball with the friends I had for decades. Even now, I teach at North Rockland and live in Stony Point with my children and wife of almost 26 years. Aside from my time with the St. Louis Cardinals, my entire life has been lived within this 13-mile radius. Some might say that means I haven't seen much. Some might say that means I haven't seen much at all, but I would say I've seen everything that matters. Every blessing in my life has come from the experience I have had with the relationships that I have built right here, right with my friends. To my teammates, we did this together. It was an honor to share the court and field with you. To my coaches, you taught me everything I know as a player. North Rockland baseball coaches, Haverstraw Middle, Pete Warner, Pat Amendola, John DiGeronimo, who was inducted in last year's Hall of Fame here. Basketball coaches, Bill McCoy and Dennis Carroll at North Rockland High School. RCC baseball coaches, Bob Nadell and Dan Keeley, nothing but the best. Dominican College coach, Rick Gianetti. And last but not least, Big Joe Clinton, who I had the privilege to play basketball under at both RCC and Dominican, the man who kept me humble. And I wasn't going to tell a story because my wife's like, you don't got to tell stories, but I'm going to tell a story. It's going to be short. Playing Bergen Community College. It's Rockland Community College versus Bergen Community College in Brendan Byrne Arena in the Meadowlands, right before the New Jersey Net game. It's a big game, conference game, Bergen Community College. And as you know, when you play basketball in an arena like that, the depth perception's tough. You can't see, there's nobody in the stands, and it's tough to shoot. So I'm warming up, and I could feel that it's not going to be a good night. My three's not hitting, and I feel it, but I think I'm going to go inside today or do whatever I got to do. So comes halftime, we're down about 8 points to Bergen Community College. Clinton comes flying into the locker room, as usual, with his red Irish face, storming, going, "What the hell are you doing?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "What's going on tonight? This guy is killing me." His famous words, "Castaldo, you're killing me." So he said, I remember that for 4 years, Dominican, 2 years at RCC and 2 years at Dominican. "Castaldo, you're killing me." I heard it in my sleep. I used it when I was coaching. "You're killing me." He said it, "Why don't you come back to Dominican and watch more basketball games? You're killing me." It's always something, he's killing him. But to end up, one of the statisticians was doing the things. He's yelling at me, "What the hell is wrong with you?" "Joe, he has 18 points and 10 rebounds. What's the problem?" "He's still killing me." So that's Joe, always killing. If I'm scoring 30 points, I'm killing him on defense. If I'm not playing defense, I'm killing him in some other way. So that was the expression he always used that I remember. But that's what he brought the best out of me. He knows how to motivate kids. That's why the program's been so successful at Dominican. He knows how to motivate people. And now to the coaches who gave me the opportunities to lead teams of my own at North Rockland High School, JV baseball team, and men's basketball assistant coach to Coach Roth. Coach Casarella, thank you for the opportunity there. And then I moved on to RCC men's basketball team under Coach Keeley as the athletic director after I left North Rockland. So thank you, Coach Keeley, also. I'll throw a little story in there again. First college game, I go from North Rockland to RCC. I'm about to coach my first college game. Coach Cass said, "It's good to move on. Move on, take the job. Coach Keeley will take care of you." Kevin Hamlin, everybody knows Kevin Hamlin. He was my statistician at that time. So he sat on the bench and did all the stats and helped me out during that basketball year. It was our first game coming up. We were playing Kingsborough Community College. Kevin Hamlin comes up to me, as he does his research, always on the computer, telling me Kingsborough's loaded. He's like, "So you're going to have a tough time here." I'm like, "Okay, that's no problem. We'll prepare even more. We're going to prepare. We're going to get ready for the game." He goes, "That's not the problem." I said, "What's the problem? We'll prepare even better." He goes, "It's the first girl going to coach Kingsborough Community College. She's going to have her first college game, and she's a girl." I was like, "Oh, boy." I go, "I can't lose to a girl. My first college game, I'm going to lose to a girl. That's not." So then I go home that day, talk to my dad. Forget about it. "Dad, you don't come to the first game. They're supposed to be loaded." I'm thinking, I can't lose this game. My dad's like, "You can't lose to a girl." So I'm like, okay. So I go, we get there, make a long story short, we lose by 20. The girl gets her first college win. And Kevin Hamlin tells the story to everybody from here on in. Lastly, I want to thank my family, again, my wife, especially my father. He passed a couple years ago, and there isn't a day that goes by that I don't think about him. He was at many games, sometimes cheering, sometimes coaching, if he wasn't at OTB playing the ponies. He was louder than the actual coach a lot. I know that if he was here tonight, he'd be very proud of me. But if he had the microphone, he would probably tell you that I could have been even better. Everything I learned about hard work, toughness, and never quitting started with him. This honor is as much his as it is mine. Again, thank you everybody that came out to support me, my North Rockland buddies, everybody. Thank you very much.
It's my honor to do the next introduction, and we will be breaking for dinner after this introduction. But it is my distinct honor to introduce Alan, Coach Pesner. For most people that went tonight, many people in this room, it's kind of hard to picture McCallum Field without Pez. I have roaming, but more like pacing up and down the sideline. And it's even harder to think of the press box and imagine and hear anyone else other than Pez's voice. He was an absolute staple on that field as both a coach and an announcer. When Pez retired from his coaching career, he was the winningest coach in New York State history for girls lacrosse. He was the first recipient in Nyack School's history of the prestigious Coach Ralph Cordisco Award, who everyone in this room knows. And he was a pioneer and an advocate in Nyack, in Section 1 and beyond for girls' sports. And that, I think, is probably one of the things that Pez is most proud of. So, one of the hardest things that I had to do preparing for this day was plagiarizing Pez's bio from the Nyack Hall of Fame Journal. Jamie Kempton, we need you to come off a strike and come back so you can write the bios. But that's not what was hard. Plagiarizing was easy. Part of his bio, Pez got in the Nyack Hall of Fame in 2018, and part of his bio mentions two athletes that he coached that were already in the Nyack Hall of Fame. So Allison Chambers Rowling, class of 2017, and Stacy Sennis McGowan, class of 2015. So when Pez got into the Hall of Fame, they were already in. And Stacy's mother, Fran Sennis, is here today. And Fran was a girls lacrosse and a girls field hockey coach for 35 years. And her career basically paralleled Pez's career. And everyone knows Pez is a girls lacrosse coach, but he's also the girls field hockey coach. And originally they were sitting much closer to each other, and I was going to talk about the fact that they can sit near each other and be amicable is quite the accomplishment. But we would all know if they did not have a deep admiration and respect for each other. So I think that is a good sign of Pez's diplomacy skills out on the field. Very impressive career for both of them. So what was hard about this is, so Pez got into the Hall of Fame in 2018, and so I knew more people that played under him that he coached had gotten into the Hall of Fame since then, and that actually number is fivefold, and there's now 10 people in the Hall of Fame that Pez coached. So it took a long time to research that, make sure I wasn't missing anyone. And it's no small coincidence that one of them is here, Liz Gilroy Gould, class of 2019. So I want to briefly talk about Pez, the educator. Now, many people that grew up and went to Nyack first learned how to catch by deploying Pez's window. So Pez's window was just like this. And when the football, you could use this in different sports, but mainly football, when the football comes and breaks Pez's window, you catch the ball. And it was a very simple way to teach people how to catch. Now, by the time I learned about Pez's window, I knew how to catch, and most of us knew how to catch. So what would really happen is when one of our friends would drop a ball, we go, oh, you should have used Pez's window, you would have caught that ball. So, but many youths learned how to catch from Pez's window. I don't know if Pez is going to share his the greatest challenges he overcame as an educator. And I don't know what his greatest challenge was, but I can tell you what one of them was this person, about 16 inches shorter, potentially 30 pounds heavier, on the high balance beam, and Pez telling me to do a round-off dismount off the high balance beam. Now, spry is not a word that I've heard used over the years when referring to me. So, and I was pretty much petrified, couldn't move. Somehow did manage to dismount with a round-off, and I'm sure the only thing round about it was me. I don't think that we list that as Pez's greatest achievement. I mean, heck, he resuscitated and saved someone, and they later made a Rescue 911 episode to recount that. So I would think that's a much greater achievement, but a monumental achievement nonetheless. Up until about 5 or 6 years ago, as far as I was concerned, there was only one Coach Cass in Rockland County. And I am sure that at least half of the people in here or more, also, there's only one Coach Cass in Rockland County. I would be talking about John Castellano, and everybody else would be talking about Joe Cassarella. And it's unfortunate for everyone that Joe's not the guy, Cassarella, up here doing this, because he'd have all of us rolling around laughing. We might not get out of here until like 10 p.m., but we would be laughing nonetheless. Yeah, exactly, just like that. Thank you. Why am I talking about that? Because there is only one Coach Pez. Only one Coach Pez. Maybe it's questionable if there's more than one Coach Cass, but Alan Pesner, Coach Pez, is the inaugural recipient of the William Gibby Sweet Coaches Award.
And I'd like to welcome everybody and thank everyone for being here and supporting the Rockland County Sports Hall of Fame. I'd like to congratulate the 53rd class for the Rockland County Sports Hall of Fame of all the inductees. I'm a Spring Valley graduate. Pierre. Pierre, the football team that you played on as a midget, not you being a midget, but the midget football team as the league before it was Pop Warner, was established in the late 50s and into the 60s and used to be called the Spring Valley Pony Express. That was me and all of the guys from Spring Valley. We played with leather helmets, newspaper shoulder pads, until our parents saw us. And then they got together and formed the football league, the Pony Express. 1961, Pierre, we went to Florida by bus. We had to get contributions by going door to door and asking for money. 1961, ladies and gentlemen, we had one black player, Keith Wheeler, ran like a deer. Great kid, still my friend. And his mom, my mom, the team, and the coaches on that bus. We got to Georgia for the night, and when we got off the bus, the person at the counter at the hotel came running out, said, "You can't stay here." He saw the black woman and the black player. Said, "You stay here, they'll firebomb us." So we start to get back on the bus. And all of a sudden, this car pulls up, and 4 big guys in suits get out. We didn't know it, but it was the FBI. The powers that be in Spring Valley knew that we were in trouble and had the FBI follow us all the way to Florida. We stayed there that night. Teammates, you heard it earlier. Teammates. Keith couldn't get off the bench in the locker room for fear of going to the field. The people in St. Petersburg, Florida made arrangements that he could have guests come, but they had to sit on the other side. They had a black band in his honor. We had a vote before we went to Florida because they said we couldn't come with the black player. A unanimous vote says we don't go without him. At halftime, we were invited to go to California. Think of that. We had to go door to door to get a bus to Florida. They want us to go to California to play for the national championship. Halftime. Of course, we ended up winning the game in St. Petersburg. And we find out, as we stayed with the families down there, that there wasn't one kid from the South on that team. They all came from New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, New York.
there was no Southern grown-up kids that grew up in the South. It was quite an experience, and yeah, so that football team that you went with, I know all about it. It was over 50 years ago that my dad, Leon Pesner, who was inducted in 2005, and Suffrag's Joe Grasso, who was inducted in 2003, were meeting and organizing and establishing the Rockland County Sports Hall of Fame. What a terrific idea, and done with the unselfish appreciation to recognize the achievements of Rockland County's outstanding athletes, coaches, and supporters. So here we are for the 53rd induction ceremony. I am humbled and excited to have been selected, and as the first recipient of the Gibby Sweet Coaches Award. I knew Gibby, and he was a great guy. I had a wonderful journey. I too had a wonderful, caring, and supportive parents, Leon and Doris Pesner, an older brother, and a younger sister who always kept you honest and focused. Family taught me lessons that remain with me today also. For example, do it because it's the right thing to do. That's a tough one. Think about it. Do it because it's the right thing to do. And always honest fairness. That was my mom. I also have my own supportive family here. I have my wife of 46 years, Karen. Two sons, Michael and his wife Sarah, and our grandson Leo. And our other son Brian and his wife Shay, they're in Florida, they could not be here. Karen's family has also been supportive over those 46 years in my career. Tonight, my sister-in-law Mary is here representing them. I was also fortunate to have peer and administrative support. My biggest supporter was Paul Lenko. You heard his name earlier with Nyack football. Paul was a super supporter of me in girls athletics, with his main concern always the interest of the athletes. I've been extremely fortunate to have great assistant coaches, mostly former players, and awesome kids in both field hockey and lacrosse. They were hardworking, dedicated, and willing to learn the attitudes it takes to win. Together, we were successful. Today, there are field hockey and lacrosse teams all throughout the United States that are being coached by former players, and daughters of former players being recruited and receiving scholarships. Following my being president of the Rockland County Field Hockey Coaches Association, president of the Girls Lacrosse Coaches Association, section chairperson for girls lacrosse, Paul encouraged me to become the New York State Girls Lacrosse Coordinator. So I did. It was a long process of getting it organized on the state level. We thought that Rockland and Westchester and Long Island were the only places playing lacrosse. Not true. I had to contact every high school in the New York State Public High School Athletic Association to find out if they have a girls lacrosse program and what levels. From there were meetings with the section coordinators and state officers to formulate the New York State Championship Pyramid. It took a while, and as you had heard from Joe just a few minutes ago, the attitudes about girls in sports was a hard rock to crack. And so, after a few years of building the postseason schedules, we created the New York State Championship Pyramid. It is rewarding to me to see today that there are 54 girls lacrosse programs in Section 1. When I started coaching girls lacrosse, we were the third team in Rockland, Section 9, and the 9th team combined with Section 1. And now there are 46 girls, 54 girls lacrosse programs in Section 1. Thank you. I just want to say thank you to all the different and so important support systems that I've had. Without them, I would not be here today. Thank you.
Well, this is an honor. Just listening to the inductees, you could certainly see that sports is such a joy of our lives. And let me just tell you that for the intellectual and developmentally disabled, what we call the IDD community, sports brings joy to their lives too. And we do many things in Venture Together to allow that to happen. So we have many programs that we participate in. I saw in the publication we had touching bases. I've heard folks would do that at the younger age, and many other programs. You know, they go bowling. Every once in a while they get to go to a Yankee game, and they're always out and about for those that have the capability to do so. So sports is truly something that's a part of their life, and part of our mission is to bring joy to them. And let me just say that sports helps do that. Many of you know us from what we called Camp Venture, and the board chose to change the name to Venture Together since we ventured together throughout their life about 5 years ago. Camp Venture is still by name up in the Stony Point campus, right there by Patriot Hills on the first and second hole. We've got about 17 acres there, and we have the camp, been there since 1969. And we've added an equestrian center, big red barn with 7 horses, which many people ride for therapeutic. We have many programs in the warehouses, mostly for our older IDD community in the North Campus. And we also have 24 group homes throughout Rockland County, where we take care of hundreds of people from morning to night. Typically, they get up, our direct service professionals get them up in the morning, help them get bathed or showered, feed them, get them dressed, hop in a van, and go to one of our day half programs, which we have 8 in the county. Our newest one is going to be on Franklin Avenue in Pearl River. We're looking for that to open up in about a year after going through all the permits. That one's going to be for the younger IDD community that can go out and about. If you're familiar with the Pearl River location, it's right next to the firehouse and park, and they'll be out and about, and we'll take about 32 people there. But we take about 1,000 people in the county through our various programs. So we have the group homes, the day have, we have ComHab, we have a couple tech labs, we have the equestrian center I mentioned, and we have other kind of supportive employment for the truly high functioning that can go out and work and actually make minimum wage. There's a small group of our population that have that capability. And we do as much as we can, depending on their skills. Our strategy, as I said, is to basically bring joy to their life and try to personalize their care depending on their capability. So with that, I'd just like to say on behalf of the board, the executive team, and the employees. We have over 600 employees and the 1,000 or so people we take care of. Thank you, and God bless.
A big thank you to everyone in the room for the tremendous support today. There's many board members helping with the raffle, but some others that helped today are Janice Beltiti, Kristen King, Jenny Patterson, and Liz Grant. Thank you, everyone, for your support and everyone that helped make the raffle a success to benefit Venture Together. At this time, I would like to call up Vin Sorrentino, the vice chairman of the County Hall of Fame Board, Sir Vin Sorrentino, to be more precise. He has a special introduction.
Good afternoon. Congratulations, Rockland Hall of Famers, outstanding class, well-deserved honor. Couple quick notes. Jim Rooney, wish you were with us all 4 years apace, not only a great player, but a great coach, and we missed you. I wish you were with me all 4 years. So. And if you want somebody to mess up your batting practice, have Jim throw it. He's looking to get you out in there running the ball and diving it away. So, Joe, congratulations again to you 4 years outstanding work for Hall of Fame, so congrats. One thing that we're real proud of at Rockland is our ability for teams, high-level teams being in such a small area, continually produce state champions. And, this is another year where we have 5 New York State champions, and it's really outstanding that we're able to do that. It all starts with our great coaches. Without them, this really doesn't get into motion. They set the tone and the foundation for continued success. So our 5 teams for this past year, we have Suffern Hockey, a 3-peat champion. Suffern is over 50 years of excellence, and that's something that they were able to accomplish again. So congrats to them, 3-peat champions, Rob Shelley. Followed up with our Albertus girls basketball state champion. They went ahead and something that Pat Buckley, 2-peat champion, continued success on their side, and something that he accomplished, and always a great job over at Albertus for, again, another 50-plus years. So congratulations to him. We have our 2025 Albertus girls soccer. They are a 2-peat champion. Dan Samini had a 22 1-1 record, 95 goals scored, 5 against, and again, back-to-back state champions for Albertus. Congrats to them. We have the 2026 TZ girls basketball team, first-time champion with 23 and 4 overall record, section regional state champs, TZ's first TZ girls state championship, and 3rd section champ. So we have our coach Riley Chevalier in the attendance. Please stand up. Hopefully I didn't botch that too bad. And finally, we have 2025 North Rockland boys cross country. They are a team that outstanding. They are a state federation team also. Besides their winning of the state championship, and the federation, is of all the sizes, all public, private, New York City. So they followed that up. First Rockland team to do that in the last 10 years. Chris Lent is our coach for cross country. So that's the foundation for our future Rockland Hall of Famers, and we're excited about our continued success, and we look forward to having more teams being recognized at our future events. So thank you.
Thank you, Vin, and for the smallest geographical county in New York State, that 5 state champs, truly tremendous and remarkable. Let's keep it going. Next, I would like to call up Kurt Lundgren, Rockland County Hall of Fame member, to do our next introduction and Nanuet ace pitcher. Kurt.
Good afternoon, everyone, and congratulations to all the inductees. I can say from the board, this was a very difficult selection year, and it's an amazing talent here. Congratulations to everybody. My honor is to introduce Jim Rooney. And I'm a Nanuet guy. I'm a contemporary of Jim's, 1979. And when Jim's name came up as being an inductee, I had to wrestle Chuck Mays, who is a North Rockland graduate. Unfortunately, he was virtual at that meeting, okay, because I would have lost that wrestling match. Because I had the privilege and the honor of playing against Jim Rooney. And when he came up, like this flood of memories came through of glory days and so forth. But for me, it wasn't so much glory days. I remember the first time I ever hit against Jim Rooney. And I really never saw anything like it. In the first pitch, I swung and missed, and it was kind of like, I got to start my swing a little earlier. And then the second pitch was like, I got to start my swing a lot earlier. And then when I headed back to the dugout on the third pitch, it was more like, why did I even bother? And little did I know back then that I would be among a lot of other guys who felt the same way, taking a left or right turn back to their dugout after Jim Rooney struck them out. So that was my first introduction to Jim Rooney. But other than that, I came to know Jim as a great competitor and probably the greatest pitcher I ever saw in Rockland County. And also not only a great competitor, but a tough player and somebody I admired. So now, just to put it in context, from the beginning, Jim wasn't just good; he was exceptional. And I think we can all read in the yearbook, the program, what Jim's accomplishments are. But just to highlight them, in addition to being a two-time Daily News All-Star, Journal News All-Star, Section 9, which is now Section 10, first team, Jim was, as far as I know, unless somebody knows him, the only first-round pick in the Major League Draft to ever come out of Rockland County. That puts Jim in a very, very, very elite category of I don't know who in Rockland County history who was the number one pick. And it just didn't just end with that or begin with that. Jim, when he was, after an illustrious high school career, went on to Cornell and then to Morris Community College. Jim's destiny, I think, was something greater than just high school or college. Jim's goal was the MLB. And in that regard, as a first-round pick, Jim's accomplishments through high school and through college included, say in high school, he led the RBIs in 1978, right, Jim? Yeah, Jim, pitchers can hit, right? Okay. And then he went on to hit .465 at Morris Community College, right, Jim? Pitchers can hit, right, Jim? Pitchers are athletes. The best athlete on the team is a pitcher, right, Jim? Okay. But so put it this way, Jim was not just a great pitcher. Jim was a great athlete. I can speak for myself. Pitching against Jim, he was basically a double threat, triple threat. First base, he could hit and he could pitch. Now let's get back to Jim. Jim was the first round pick by the Chicago Cubs in the 1981 draft, and then finally signed as the number one pick with the Baltimore Orioles. And he started his pro career with 42 scoreless innings in the Baltimore organization. That's extraordinary. And then next year went another 30 innings of scoreless baseball. Now, Jim was, to say the least, one of the top prospects in the country. And that's why he was picked first round, and that's why in pro ball he was excellent. And I can remember distinctly reading in Baseball America the day Jim got hurt, got hurt. His leg went one way while pitching, and his arm went the other way, and that kind of curtailed Jim's dream of the major leagues. But for some people, one door opens and another one closes. Jim didn't give up, and Jim then tried to continue in baseball, but then turned the page. And because life, and like sports is like life, and doesn't always follow the script. But after that injury, he stayed with the game and gave more back to it over those years. Jim became a coach, a mentor, and a teacher. He helped coach at Rockland Community College, where they went to the Junior College World Series. This is, I believe, Jim's fourth induction into a Hall of Fame, Jim, if I missed any. Rockland Community College, Morris Community College, and North Rockland High School. That says a whole lot right there. But on top of that, Jim has spent the rest of his career training athletes, building programs, and eventually returned to professional baseball, where he spent nearly 2 decades as a manager, a pitching coordinator, a scout, and 15 years in the Milwaukee Brewers organization. But still, Jim was not done. In recent years, Jim dedicated himself to developing next generation of players through the Jim Rooney Baseball Academy. And he also has a podcast called, I believe it's called Toe the Rubber, Jim. He's also an author of a book. I didn't write it down, Jim, but if I recall correctly, it was Young Arms at Risk. I believe Jim studied kinesiology, which is a study of movement, and tries to help players, pitchers, throwers. And so Jim's legacy continues now with his academy down in it's in North Carolina, right, in Charleston? And so tonight we recognize not just an extraordinary athlete, but somebody who's been a lifelong ambassador of the game. He faced adversity, he adapted, and continues to inspire others every step of the way. Jim's story is one of excellence, resilience, and lasting impact, and it's my absolute privilege and honor, Jim, to welcome you to this year's class, 2026, Rockland County Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, first of all, thank you everybody for coming. Before I get started, I know there's a table in the back who'll probably think that it's impossible for me to keep this short, but I'm going to do my best. First, I'd like to thank the committee, okay, for this great honor. Every athlete hopes their work leaves a mark, but being inducted into the Rockland County Sports Hall of Fame is a different level of validation, and I thank you all. For me personally, what made this truly special was that the man who delivered it, the person that gave me the phone call, was Kurt Lundgren himself. For anyone in the audience that was around in the late 70s, Kurt and I, we had some classic legendary pitching duels. I mean, usually, I can remember one specifically where I threw 9 shutout innings and Kurt threw 17 shutout innings and beat us 1-0. So Kurt, thanks again. It was an honor to be on the same field with you back then, and it's an honor to be here in this room with you now. Tonight, of course, we're celebrating a lot of achievements here, but one of the things that I want to speak about is that tonight we're celebrating opportunity, all right? But we have to remember that opportunity doesn't just happen, it's built. Because of that, to my parents, Gene and Jim Rooney, thank you for the foundation you gave me. You provided the first and the most important opportunity of my life, the chance to dream big and to support those dreams. To my family and friends, especially George Nix, who decided to show up, and that was quite a surprise. George and I not only were competitors, but when we were younger, in senior league in Stony Point, 13 and 15, when we were 15 years old, we basically, it was me and George and a team full of a couple of Smurfs, and we beat the heralded Bombers, Denny Rose's team. And Todd is in the audience also. I think Todd might have been on that team. And usually the games were 1-0 or 2-1. George would get on base, steal second, steal third. I'd hit a ground ball, we'd win 1-0. I'd pitch one game, George would pitch the next. But to my family and friends in attendance, thank you for taking the time to be here. I know we all have busy schedules. Your support has been constant through every inning of my career, and sharing this moment with you is what makes it real. Next point I want to make is there's 3 specific men, besides all the different coaches, the great coaches I had at North Rockland, and many others, even in pro ball. But there was 3 gentlemen that had a profound influence on me, okay? First was my father. He taught me the mental game long before I knew what it was even called. He taught me the importance of focusing on the task at hand. Being the here and now, the only thing that really mattered is the next pitch, whether you're going to catch it, throw it, or hit it. Secondly is my coach at North Rockland High School when I was a junior, Coach Bob Nandel. In 1978, he took this young, slender left-hander, and he must have saw something. And as a result, he gave me the opportunity to believe that I belonged, excuse me, on a bigger stage. Third person with a great influence, the one that I say is mainly responsible for my professional career, is Mr. Ralph DeLulo, the director of the Major League Scouting Bureau. Ralph was the man who held the keys. He gave me the professional opportunity that every kid in this county dreams of, the chance to play baseball for a living. What made these gentlemen so special is that they understood that opportunity shouldn't be a closed door. I had the honor and the privilege back in, I believe it was the fall of 1981. I returned to see Coach Nadell and Coach Keeley, Danny Keeley, at Rockland Community College. And Mr. DeLula had a conversation with me after I came off a pretty successful first season. And he said, "Hey, Jim, by the way, where did you go to high school?" And I said, "North Rockland High School." He goes, "Oh yeah, North Rockland, Rockland County, that's a black hole. I haven't sent scouts there in years." And I said, "Well, you know, Mr. DeLula, I'm not smart enough to tell you, you're the pro ball guy. If anybody in Rockland County is good enough to play for professional baseball. But I do know that if you came and sent the scouts into the area, somebody could maybe get a college scholarship out of it. Some coaches would be interested because, hey, here's Mr. DeLula or one of the head scouts of the Yankees or Mets or whoever you send in, and maybe would create some interest." And due to that, I decided to introduce Mr. DeLula to Coach Nadell. And because of the type of first-class individual Coach Nadell was, that introduction sparked a bridge between Rockland County and Major League Baseball, especially the Scouting Bureau. That connection became a pipeline. It opened up professional opportunities for a long line of ball players from this county who came after me. It proved that if you give a Rockland kid an opportunity, they'll show you that they can compete with anyone. So, believe it or not, in closing today, I want to reiterate how thankful I am to the committee for this award. I want to thank everyone who has given me an opportunity, whether it was a chance to pitch, a chance to lead, or a chance to give back. Success is what you do for yourself, but a legacy is the opportunity you create for others. Thank you for allowing me to be part of the great sports legacy of Rockland County. Thanks again. Take care and be well.
Congratulations to Jim, and can't tell you how great it is to also have someone on our board that's an attorney. It's very awesome too. Kurt is our legal counsel. Tremendous value. It's my honor again to introduce our next inductee, Julian Gould. And this is the last time you all have to hear me speak at a little bit of length here, but thank you. We have, hundreds and hundreds of nominations, and we have a selection committee headed by Bill Ruber that meets and takes those hundreds of nominations and whittles them down to 20, 30 or so that the entire board votes on and results in the great class that we have here today. And during the selection committee meetings, each person on that committee has 5 minutes to just bring to our attention some teams and individual nominees that stand out to them. And typically it's, someone from the school system where you grew up, or maybe someone you competed against. But when Alan Veltiti went this year, who's from Nanuet, who's a little bit older than Julian, he just looked at all of us, and he just looked at all of us in disbelief. How could we miss this? How could we miss this nomination? How has it been? I don't know how long we've had Julian's nomination, and we're all like, we don't even know what you're talking about. He hadn't even said Julian's name yet. And then he went on to say Julian's name and share some of Julian's accomplishments with the entire committee. And then all of us were kind of in disbelief that this nomination had not come to our attention in years past, and needless to say, everybody voted him into that final group, and then everybody on the board, also seeing his accomplishments, voted him to be a class of 2026. So some of those accomplishments that everybody was so amazed with is Julian is mainly getting in for his lacrosse accomplishments, but he is an all-league, all-section, and all-county football player. He is a goalie. He was the first NIAC player to reach 1,000 saves. All-American lacrosse player, which is pretty much the highest individual honor that a lacrosse player can get. And then I think potentially, not because he told me, but one of the proudest things, he was the member of 3 NCAA championship final teams and was NCAA champion once, which to a certain extent is essentially the world championship of lacrosse. It's the college championship is the best players in the world. So it gets really hard to talk about Julian after his athletic accomplishments, like so many people before him. There's just so much to talk about that is beyond what he did on the playing field. And I think the thing that I'd like to briefly share is his role in running Nyack Youth Lacrosse, which is a youth league for people in the Nyack community. They helped co-found in 2014. And my first introduction as a parent to the world of parenting an athlete was when my daughter, when she was 6, enrolled in Nyack Youth Lax, and I'll never forget the first practice I went to, and the girls were on like a water break or something, and they were all giggling around, looking around, and Julian comes over and, "Why are you looking at them? Why are you looking at your parents? Look at me." And, you know, he did it in a way that was totally appropriate for your 6. I know it sounds bad, but it was totally appropriate. I can tell you one thing. I thought, man, Julian is not playing games, number one. I was looking at him after he said that. But no, what immediately, or maybe not all of this came to my mind that second, but eventually it did, is that this is the person you want instilling the values of focus, discipline, determination, and accountability in your children, as well as lacrosse skills. So I think it's incredible what you've done in the Nyack community. And when I called Julian to let him know that he was voted into the class of 2026, he shared with me, he said, I honestly thought you were calling to tell me that Harper, my daughter, who only played lacrosse till she was 7, is now 10. Julian knew her name, how old she is. And as special as that is to me and my wife, my family, what's really amazing about Julian is that he has a relentless drive and relentless energy to make sure that if a young person in the Nyack community doesn't play lacrosse, that hey, it's just not their thing. You know, they're doing something else, whatever that is they're doing. But it's not because there is not a thriving youth league to serve the community that is supported by the community. That is not going to be the reason that someone doesn't play lacrosse in Nyack. And he is just such a humble individual. And so in closing, I'd just like to say whether your lacrosse career ends at 7, like my daughter, or 7, well, maybe it's not over. Julian's still working on it. He is. It's not over to Julian. Or maybe it's over at 17, or maybe it's over at 67. It doesn't matter. If you had the pleasure to be on a team that Julian coached, you're going to be better equipped for that game of life, which Julian is most certainly playing and has most certainly succeeded and continues to succeed at. Julian Gould.
I guess the first thing that Russell didn't mention is we asked parents not to come to practices. But that's the first item. I don't know if anybody mentioned earlier, but Pete, thank you for this, asked us to pick our entry song. So that's Led Zeppelin, Kashmir. So I hope that connects the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s all together. And I thought to myself, what song would be the best song is what's the song that Pat and I were listening to on the bus to a football game. Pat Dorian and I played football together in high school, and it would certainly, for me, have been a Led Zeppelin song. So that's the connectivity point there. So I don't know if I see him at the table, but if I knew Danielle Castaldo was writing speeches for everybody, I would have submitted a request. The Castaldo family and the Gould family have battled for years on the lacrosse field, and it's been a great relationship between North Rockland and Nyack, although the speech would probably be a little bit too heavy on the positive side with North Rockland. So I don't know if I would have been able to use that particular one, but Thank you for that. One of the things Greg had said is, I think you said maybe top 3 of the siblings. I am definitely 7 of 7 in my household. I have 5 daughters, 4 of them are here tonight. My daughter Kate just won the Ivy League championship for the regular season in lacrosse yesterday. Thank you. Thank you. My daughter Ella, I'll go with my daughters first because they're all sitting in front of me. I don't know how, I must have paid a couple extra dollars for this table. But my daughter Ella, who's a senior at Nyack, is committed to play lacrosse at Michigan. She's also the salutatorian of Nyack High School. My daughter Abby, who's also on my wife's lacrosse team. My wife's the lacrosse coach at Nyack with a friend of ours, Catherine Perella. But my daughter Abby is a sophomore at Nyack, and she's going through her recruiting process right now, so we'll see what she decides. It'll be an exciting process this summer into the fall. My daughter Jane right here is probably the largest character in the family that we have, and she's an 8th grader. And finally, my daughter Tess, who's actually probably going to be the largest of everybody in the group, is in 6th grade, right? Yeah, 6th grade. Okay, I thought it was 6th grade. I guess I'd first, before I go into any other stories, like to thank Pete, like to thank Russell, the board, the directors, the nominating committee, the selection committee. I'd like to honor all the other honorees in the room, all the other people that have already spoken and will continue to speak. Also, in terms of past individuals, I finally got to meet, and he's sitting by himself with his arms crossed as if he owns the room, my friend Scott Finley in the corner. He is the legend of Nyack lacrosse, and the rest of us just came by and just played for fun. I'll go around the table here. Unlike the Dorias that have 25 tables, we just have one. But starting with my folks, and maybe a round of applause for my father for making this dinner, because he had a life-threatening incident that he was in the hospital for a month, about 3 months ago, so thank the Lord that he's here. My father probably has lost in his mind more than I actually know, and he's taught me everything I know. So it's a little bit of a complicated relationship, because every time I try to do something, he says, I already taught you that. My mother, sitting right next to him, Laura Gould, is a famous field hockey and basketball player from Massachusetts with all the other individuals. So we'll leave them up there. In terms of lacrosse, I would probably say the only reason why I actually played lacrosse was, Aaron, can you stand up real quick? This is my brother Aaron, who's a Clarkstown police officer with Jeff Wanamaker. Not retiring, because I think he's got a couple kids to send to college, so he's going to stick around for a little while longer. But my brother got me into lacrosse when I was a 6th grader, just like my daughter Tess. I literally wouldn't have even picked it up if it wasn't for him. And I would probably thank Whisker, my high school lacrosse coach, if he was here, for putting me on the varsity team as a freshman to get to play 2 seasons with my brother. And those are probably the 2 most memorable seasons of my personal life. He was an all-county lacrosse player. We both were all-county together, which was awesome, 2 years in a row. I ended up playing in college as well. So I think he's still playing lacrosse in men's leagues and winter leagues, playing basketball with the Police Officers Association, all sorts of different things. And then finally next to him is one of his 2 sons. He also has a daughter. But his son here is William, who's on the Nyack High School varsity lacrosse team, so we want to congratulate William for all of the future accolades that he has. I saw him on the sideline of the football team as well, holding I think a pink sheet, thinking about what the plays were that the team was running, so hopefully we hear his name in the next couple of years in terms of where he's going on the football field as well. I guess for me, one of the things would be less about the stories of the X's and the O's and did we win the game, did we lose the game. I think a lot of the experience was the people along the way. Like I already mentioned, Pat, we actually had a pretty legit street. And I think the Costello family said there was 13 miles. For us, it was 50 yards. Because my father was raised on Birchwood Avenue, my brother and I were raised on Birchwood Avenue in Upper Nyack, and we're raising our daughters on Birchwood Avenue in Upper Nyack, so we haven't really been getting to move that recently. But the stories that I have are more along the lines of, and Coach Castellano, who's my football coach with Pat in high school, he gave me a call the other night, and we were talking about some of the war stories, some of the things that we did along the way. But for me, it was sitting in his office watching film. I love that. I don't know why, but I absolutely love that. My father always said, strategy, show up prepared. So we would just watch film constantly. I felt like we knew exactly what the team was going to do every single second along the way. I loved doing that. I had a 1986 Buick Century, which was two-tone color, because my father had a guy that only painted half of the car. That car, it turns out it fit 10 football players. I had no idea how it did that, but we would drive from the football field downtown. Literally, these guys were huge, and they would just roll out of the back seat of that car. So that was pretty awesome. And I don't know if anybody mentioned it, but the parties in high school, I see Pat's eyes flipping a little bit. No one mentioned the parties. The parties were awesome. You know, it was just a great time. And so, you know, that experience was really special to me along the way in terms of the people. The other greatest thing about going to Nyack is in middle school, I would say that's when I started playing lacrosse, but that's also when I met my wife, who's at the table in front of us. And as I think Russell mentioned, my wife was an All-American, you know, played in college, multi-time captain, led the team in assists, has tons of accolades. And for us as a family, nothing would really work particularly if it wasn't for her. And I think Greg also mentioned this, listen to your parents. In our house, it's listen to your mother. Right, that's a big thing. Obviously, my in-laws are here, and it's pretty controversial actually because, and again, not to keep referencing Greg's speech, but my father-in-law was on that 1969 Clarkstown team. His last name is Gilroy, and I'm pretty sure if he had decided to stay in Rockland for his full high school experience, that he'd also be standing up here, you know, being inducted into the Hall of Fame. One of the things that my brother and I did when we were little kids, we come up with all these amazing little games. One was called one-on-one kickoffs, where we would just literally launch the ball to each other from 40 yards away and try within 10 yards to run past each other. So maybe later on today, I'll get Dale Lidecker and my father-in-law will do a one-on-one kickoff with the two. I don't know, my father-in-law is a pretty formidable foe. And also, I would say I was married into a pretty dynamically athletic family. If you were a baseball player, I guess in the early 70s, my mother-in-law's brother, John Lateria, was an amazing baseball player for Clarkstown as well. And I think this is before Clarkstown split into North and South. So we had the Clarkstown team all together. I guess in closing, I could probably speak for another couple of minutes if anybody's still awake. There is a table back in the back, and I see Mike's face. One of the things that it's a couple refs, I think. So one of the things that happens is that during the games, the ref actually refs the game. Initially, when I started watching refs, I didn't know what they were doing. I was like, this is a terrible call. But the refs actually ref the game. It's something I've learned recently over the last couple of years. And they get a lot of disrespect during a game from the sidelines. I've never disrespected a ref in my entire life. So I just want to say we should give a round of applause to all the refs, because we don't have a lot of refs. Right? And I was hoping Jim would be here too, I see Mike. Except there was that one ref who called off my touchdown against Suffren. Homecoming. So other than him, all the rest deserve a round of applause. One of the other things that's nice about this event is looking around the room, I just see so many familiar faces. We have our athletic director, Joe Sigillo, who's been unwaveringly supportive of all of our endeavors with our Nyack Youth Lacrosse program, which is fantastic. He added flag football, which my niece is now playing flag football. He's been supportive of my daughters who also play tennis, so it's been fantastic. I see, this is so easy for me. I see my friend Pesner, who already gave his speech. I grew up buddies with his son, which was fantastic, also a great lacrosse player. Al coached my wife, so there's so much connectivity there. I see Shep, our high school basketball coach from the 90s, sitting next to him. I already mentioned the Wanamaker family. I used to walk up and down Wanamaker Lane. I grew up in a neighborhood with a gentleman named John Hess, who played lacrosse at Princeton, was a phenomenal player. Around the block from me was the Lewis brothers, who played at Lafayette and West Point, like my friend Scott. My neighbor growing up was Wells Crowther, who was so kind to me. Let's clap for Wells, if everybody knows Wells' story. And if you don't know Wells' story, just Google Wells Crowther ESPN and you'll see his video. It's phenomenal. Wells was super kind to me. I'd see him walking down the hill with a soccer ball, which I wasn't so interested in soccer, but he would be walking down the hill with a soccer ball and see me in the yard with my stick, and he'd say, "Why don't you come to my house, I'll shoot on you," which was just phenomenal. And then thinking about his story 25 years later after September 11th, it is just amazing. One of the things that my wife and I always said to ourselves when we were trying to build a small little youth program in Nyack is, how do we get it back to the point where people are interested in something and are willing to commit the time to actually do it? So I think we're slowly getting there with our lacrosse program. We have multiple committed players on our team now that are playing in college. It was easy for us as kids because when I was in middle school, the entire varsity team was playing lacrosse in college. They were either playing at a D1 school or D2 school or a D3 school, and it just made the community so exciting because you wanted to go to the games, you want to see the guys, guys and gals, like my wife and some of her friends. So I guess I would just say generally thank you. Thank you for everybody coming, and thank you I hope you enjoy the rest of the night, and good evening.
All right, our next presenter, Miss Julia Adler. Assistant Coach Stack, a Hall of Fame member of North Rockland and Rockland County Track and Field, Miss Julia.
Thank you, everybody, for coming today. This is a great turnout. So, I could tell you all to just read Steve Hostomsky's bio in our program, and that the numbers would speak for themselves. But would they? One of the biggest challenges for me personally, as someone who's on the board of directors here, is, in the name of fairness, how to compare the statistics and performances from one sport with those with another. So instead of just telling you that the stats speak for themselves, I'd just like to take a couple of minutes to make sure everyone can understand why they really do. I was lucky enough to be a teammate of Steve's, which gave me the opportunity to see most of his races. Aside from seeing his incredible work ethic and practice, probably the next most important thing I learned from Steve is that the 100 meters is not the only exciting race in track and field. Because some of the distance battles between Steve and his rivals, Greg Herzog of White Plains and Andy Whitney of Long Island, were epic. We had 3 of the best schoolboy distance runners in the country right here in the New York metro area, and their races never disappointed. Steve's best 2-mile time of 9:05.9 is still, after 47 years, the 4th fastest high school 2-mile ever run in Rockland County. To try to put that time in perspective for everybody, most of us prayed that we could run 7 or 8 minutes in the mile so that we could pass Jim or do well on that presidential fitness test. But Steve was running 2 miles and averaging about 4.5 minutes per mile while doing so. It's kind of scary, if you think about it. If we want to speak about dominance, 11 individual county titles. Sometimes he would win the mile and the 2-mile in the same meet and then come back later and run a relay. 10 Section 9 titles, a runner-up finish and a win at the state meet, a win at the Laux Games, and a runner-up finish at the Penn Relays, which are arguably 2 of the most prestigious high school track meets in the country. In those days, there were not national championships, but to finish off his high school career, Steve was invited to compete at the Golden West Invitational, a meet where only the top 8 competitors in the country were invited to attend. Maybe I can let the journal news of old, remember the journal news when Bill Madden and Jamie Kempton and people like that were writing there and we got headlines, but I digressed. I dug through some stuff and I found some that I thought maybe would help. Like, Hostomsky doesn't need strategy in Rockland. He didn't. And probably my personal favorite, and I had to bring it because you wouldn't believe me, Hostomsky wins, ho-hum. Well, Hosty, this is definitely not a ho-hum occasion. In fact, this is a well-deserved reminder that hard work does pay off and that after 47 years, you are still relevant. So with that, it's both an honor and a pleasure to say, welcome to the Rockland County Sports Hall of Fame, Steve Hostomsky.
Julia, thank you for the intro. And especially, I want to, first thank the committee for this honor. It's just very, very touching. Am I too far off, Mike? Okay. Obviously, I want to thank Julia, John Ryan, and the rest of the committee for acknowledging this. For me, it just doesn't get any better than this. I look around this room, and the talent is just mind-boggling. As I said, Rockland, geographically small, athletically, pretty big. So, thank you. So first of all, I got to thank my coaches, especially Coach Gene Dahl. When he started coaching me, he was not a distance coach. So we were both kind of learning along the way, and boy, did he learn, So without his guidance and support and belief in me, it enabled me to become the successful athlete that I became. That influence and confidence helped me get a scholarship to the University of Houston. A lot of football guys in here, right? Quick trivia question. 1979 Cotton Bowl. Who beat Houston and who was the quarterback? Anyone? Notre Dame. Joe Montana. Since I went to Houston, I was there when we lost 2 NCAA basketball finals and just lost last year to Florida. Crushing. But anyway, I digress. At the University of Houston, I was lucky enough to be coached by Howie Ryan and the legendary track coach, Tom Tellez. I owe so much of my running success to them. Track is a weird sport. It's, some people would say it's not a sport. No, I'm kidding. But running, especially distance running, it's long hours, just very, very painful training. It's just, there was a grad assistant at University of Dan Papp, and he just said, distance running is just pain tolerance. How much can you push? How much can you take? And, that's pretty much it. It's just, okay, show up, do the work. One of my favorite quotes is, discipline is a means to an end, not an end in itself. It's a tool that you use to accomplish things. And, the person who said that was a guitarist from the rock band King Crimson. And who would think that I would have anything in common with a guitar rock player? But it is all about discipline. If you want to be good at something, if you want to accomplish something, you just have to work really hard at it. And that's pretty much how things get done. Although track now seems so many years in the distance, that discipline, I was able to apply that to my career. I was a video editor at CBS for 30 years. I worked on The Late Show with David Letterman for 18 years. I was nominated for 2 Emmy Awards. Didn't win, but pretty good nominated. And I used that tool, that discipline, to achieve those goals, to get good at whatever. I wanted to be a good editor, so I just worked really hard at it. I also want to say that, I'm grateful to my friends and family who have supported me throughout the years. Nothing in life is done in a vacuum. And without their support, my brother's here, my sister's here, my sister-in-law, Rose. Thanks for everything. Thanks for coming out. So I mentioned University of Houston. So I was a freshman with Carl Lewis. No, not on the same level. But one of the cool experiences I had my sophomore year, Carl really wanted to win. And we were the Southwest Conference, which was a huge football conference, obviously. And but Carl really wanted to win indoor, conference championship. And he won, of course, everything he did. I watched him set the American world record in that meet. He almost jumped out of the pit. It was, the guy was a freak. But I got to run, and our conference was really fast. Not only sprinters, but great middle distance runners.
and I got to run the distance medley relay at the conference championship. And I ran the three-quarter leg, and I took us from 5th to 3rd, which means we were going to score points. And after the race, Carl came up to me, "Great leg!" And I was like, "You're Carl Lewis." So it was pretty heady stuff. But, you know, I just want to say in closing, thanks again. And I'm definitely under 5 minutes in time, so I think I'm crushing it, and that's being a track guy. It's just very touching to have this honor, and thank you all. Thanks.
Congrats to Steve while he's taking pictures. Before I bring up our last introducer, a couple of housekeeping items. For the inductees, each inductee will get video and photos from today.
Leave this here? What do we do?
You can't have that. That's fake. I'm not supposed to take it. Please take the journals home. Work hard on them. They're wonderful. Also, the athletes and inductees, remember your memorabilia and family. And finally, if you bought a raffle ticket, please make sure to check if you won. So I would like to now bring up our last introducer, Ray Kondracki, who is the head coach of St. Thomas Aquinas cross country and track. And he is going to introduce our last inductee.
It is an honor and a privilege to present this year's recipient of the Joe Holland Lifetime Achievement Award to Mr. Bill Madden. Bill is currently the Vice President of Veolia North America. He is on the board of the Rockland Business Association, board of Rockland Leadership, and on the board of trustees at his alma mater, St. Thomas Aquinas College, where he is also a member of their prestigious Spartan Hall of Fame. Bill also assists in softball, women's softball at Stack. He is an executive leader with Rockland Alzheimer Walk, which raises hundreds of thousands of dollars to support the fight against this horrible disease. He was a CYO basketball coach for many years and is an active member of the Rockland County Umpires Association, as well as a basketball official in Rockland County. With all that he has done and continues to do, Bill has always given back to the community of Rockland, a place he calls home. But we're here to truly honor his work as a writer and editor of our once local newspaper, the Rockland Journal-News, which is now not large enough to line our garbage cans. Bill held this position for the Journal-News for 19 years. He reported on national and local sports during this time, and not a day would go by without us picking up that paper and quickly racing to the sports page and seeing how the Pearl River Pirates, Red Raiders of North Rockland, or the Clarkstown South Vikings had performed on that previous day. He was especially proud of his work in recognizing all of Rockland's softball leagues. He called it telephone book journalism, with the write-ups on the performances and accolades of all of Rockland's softball players. His personal Matters articles were always a favorite of mine. He brought local sports into our living rooms on a daily basis. But little did we know, and most people don't know, unless you go for walks with Bill and he tells you 4,000 stories about it, is that Bill's career with the newspapers started long before his 19 years with the paper. You see, Bill was a paper boy in the community around his home in Pearl River. He would race through the local neighborhoods by tossing the paper in many a yard, occasionally reaching your destination of your front porch. And believe me, he was appreciated by the community for his efforts, but was appreciated more by the local dog population, who would accept the challenge of frequently taking bites out of his ankle or hindquarters. Bill is and has been an advocate of Rockland County sports his whole life, and he continues to give back to the community with his philanthropic endeavors. But the part of his life that is closest to his heart is his family. Bill is a son, a brother, a husband, and a father, and they have also always supported Bill's efforts. I'm not sure he's ever home, which Ginny probably truly appreciates. He is a diehard Yankee fan and a suffering Jet fan, but a fan of all Rockland sports. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you this year's Joe Holland Lifetime Achievement Award to Mr. Bill Madden. Welcome to the Rockland County Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you very much, Ray, for that very generous introduction. And thank you to the Rockland County Sports Hall of Fame for this very prestigious honor. I'm very privileged. And also congratulations to all the other inductees tonight. I did want to acknowledge a few people who are in attendance today, very important to me. First and foremost, my mom and dad, Bill and Joan Madden. Would you stand up? At 91 and 88, they are weighing in there. And their unconditional and infinite love for me is why I'm standing here today. Speaking of love, my immediate family, my wife Ginny, my daughter Erin, my son Brian, and my son Brendan and his fiancee Kaylee, who will be married next month, which we're all very excited about. And my brothers and my sisters and other family members, my in-laws, my former teammates, my friends, some who came from very long distances. I really appreciate you being here today very much. Thanks so much. And if you notice the program, the Referees Association, the Umpire Board, I really appreciate their support of me. The brotherhood of officiating is really, really important to me, and thank you again. And one other person I did want to acknowledge, in my 50 years of, and I don't know how it's 50 years, of reporting, officiating, and watching Rockland sports, the greatest coach in Rockland history, Joe Casarello, which I hope he's still here. There he is, yes. In my days of sports editor and sports writer, he was incredibly supportive of me, and I'll always remember that. Thank you, Joe. I recognize what distinguishes me in this Rockland sports community is my work at the Journal News as a sports reporter and sports editor, the most fun and exciting job of my career. All the people who worked at the newspaper now widely recognize the 1980s and 1990s as the peak years. And I was fortunate enough to work there when resources were abundant and the staff was filled with skilled reporters, editors, and photographers. So with my remaining 4 minutes, that is 4 minutes, I wanted to tell you a short story about the Journal News, which demonstrates the impact of our newspaper and the quality and scope of our coverage. My story is called Glory Days, hence the walk-up song. And it started like this. It was Friday, December 11th, 1987. I was working the sports desk with my buddy Steve Drummond when the Associated Press moved a news flash about a trade in Major League Baseball. The Oakland A's had traded shortstop Alfredo Griffin to the Los Angeles Dodgers, and what looked like a minor transaction in most newspapers, in fact, was a front-page story the next day in the Rockland Journal News. Steve and I recognized that trading Griffin meant that Oakland would give the starting shortstop to Rockland's own Walter Weiss. Walter, a star player at Suffern High School, had become Rockland's first major league player in 35 years the previous September when he appeared in 16 games. But now he'd be thrust into the starting shortstop position on a contending team. So for the next year, the Journal News showed its brilliance and commitment as a local newspaper. First, we sent reporter Jamie Kempton to Scottsdale, Arizona, where he spent a week producing a series called Rockland's Rookie. His stories included interviews with Tony La Russa, Don Baylor, Dave Parker, Mark McGuire, and many others. Then we had this idea that because of the intense interest in Walter, we wanted to report what he did in every game. So we created the Weiss Watch, which would appear after every game and list his stats on the front page of the sports section. In late April, Oakland appeared on ABC's Monday Night Baseball, and Al Michaels mentioned the Weiss Watch on national television, which set off a flurry of events. I received a complimentary note from the president of Gannett in Virginia, and I received a call from the company's marketing department, which said they wanted to market the Weiss Watch. I really didn't know what that was, but I rolled with it. So the creative team conceived a major sweepstakes campaign called Be a Weiss Watcher, which invited thousands of readers to enter the contest for the chance to win a free ticket to see Walter play at Yankee Stadium. So for 2 months, the newspaper promoted heavily the sweepstakes campaign on radio and television. In August, the sweepstakes winners, 250 Journal News readers, boarded 7 buses and attended Walter's game at Yankee Stadium, most of them wearing Weiss Watcher t-shirts. Walter played well and helped the Oakland A's win the American League pennant, advance to the World Series to play the Los Angeles Dodgers. And we had another idea. Would Walter do a World Series diary for the Journal News after every game? Much to our delight, Walter agreed. So for another week of TV ads, radio ads, etc. Game 1, Saturday, October 15th. Deadline for the Sunday morning paper was 12:30 a.m. Walter's diary was set for the front page, A1. The A's took a 2-1 lead into the bottom of the 9th inning and gave the ball to its ace reliever, Dennis Eckersley. Tommy Lasorda sent the injured Kirk Gibson to the plate to pinch hit, and at 11:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Kirk Gibson hit a 2-run walk-off game-winning homer into the right field bleachers. So now the clock was ticking. The arrangement was that Walter would find a phone, a landline I might add, and call one of our reporters who would quickly transcribe the phone interview into a 15-inch story. Tick tock, tick tock. 11:45, midnight, tick tock. Can you make that noise? 12:10, this very serious news editor says to me, "So Billy, great idea about the Weiss diary, but it's 12:15. I've got this huge hole on the front page of the Sunday paper with nothing to put in it. Do you really think this 23-year-old kid who just suffered the worst loss of his career is going to call us?" Gulp. 12:20. Thank you. 12:20, the phone rang. It was Walter. It was great. Amazingly, Walter went on to win the American League Rookie of the Year. About a month later, the mayor of Suffern declared Walter Weiss Day, and the village of Suffern had a parade right down Lafayette Avenue honoring their hometown hero, Walter Weiss, the glory days. I was very, very fortunate to work at the Journal News at a very exciting time. We had such talented people. Dennis Lyons, Steve Drummond, Barry Dawson, Dick Gutwillig, John Krieger, Tom Hartloff, John Heumann, Dick Yerg, Jamie Kempton, and Kevin Metcalf, who are here today, which is important to me. And I can speak for all of us that never in our wildest dreams do we think that 40 years later, people would be sharing our stories and photos on social media and talking about outstanding great athletes and teams from that era. In closing, I was just a kid from Pearl River who loved sports, who got a chance to work at my hometown paper and write about local teams, and even had a chance to interview Michael Jordan and Mike Tyson and Dwight Gooden and cover the New York Yankees. But I am immensely proud, I want to underscore that, immensely proud of the level of enthusiasm, passion, and skill that we devoted to local sports and celebrating the success of our young people. Those were, indeed, glory days. Thank you.
And congratulations to the entire class of 2026. And thank you for everyone being here and sharing in their special day. And want everyone to get home safe. Thank you.